All right, you guys, what we're going to do next is I'm going to teach you how to do number 37 in the packet, which is this nice little table that once you figure things out isn't so bad. You can think of each question as being horizontal, so this would be question 1 going left to right. This would be question 2. This is question 3, and this is question 4. And I'm just going to write a quick reminder of what our formulas are. So pH is the negative log of the concentration of H plus. POH is the negative log of the concentration of OH minus, and pH plus POH equals 14. Okay, so let's take a look at problem number 1. I always like to try and figure out what I can figure out easily by looking at the problem. Now, when I know pH, I can find POH very readily using this formula right here. So since pH plus POH equals 14, 3.4 plus POH equals 14. I can just simply subtract 14 minus 3.4 is going to give us our POH. So again, we go to our calculator, 14 minus 3.4, and again, a lot of you guys are just doing this in your head. We get 10.6. So we go back here, our POH is 10.6. So we now have our pH and POH values. All right, concentration of OH. Let's figure out how to find that. So if I have concentration of OH, I can use the POH to find it. Now this is a backwards type problem. You're given POH and you're trying to find OH. So we're going to use the second formula and we're going to plug in this as the answer. So POH, which is 10.6, equals the negative log of the concentration of OH. So again, step 1, multiply by negative 1. Negative 10.6 equals the log of the concentration of OH, and you all know what's next. Take the anti-log, which is that 10x button. So we are taking 10 to the negative 10.6 power. So I go to my online calculator, I do my second log button to the negative 10.6, and I get as an answer 2.5 e to the negative 11th. So I write for my answer 2.5 times 10 to the negative 11th m. All right, next one, concentration of H. Now there's actually 2 ways to do this. I didn't write the KW formula over here, but we know from our work before we got off from school that we can use this formula to go back and forth between H and OH. I could simply substitute in my OH value here and divide. I'm actually going to use what we just went through though to solve this one. So we know that we've got the we've got the pH, and we can find the H plus from that. So we can use this formula up on top. So I know the answer. I know the pH is 3.4, so I'm going to write that down. There's my answer, is the negative log of H. And again, same rules apply. Multiply by negative 1. So negative 3.4 equals the log of H. And you all know what comes next. To get rid of that negative, we take that 10 to the x button. So 10 to the negative 3.4 power. Remember, this all cancels out. So 10 to the negative 3.4. Go back to my calculator. Second log, there's my 10 to the negative 3.4. And we get 3.98, so 4.0 times 10 to the negative 4th. So 4.0 times 10 to the negative 4th. All right, so 4.0 times 10 to the negative 4th m is my answer there. And then is it an acid or a base? We're going to look at the pH for that. Remember, pH less than 7 is an acid, pH greater than 7 is a base. Okay, problem number 2. This time I'm given POH. So I'm going to do this a little bit more quickly. I can find pH from that very easily by using this orange equation, pH plus POH equals 14. So essentially I just take 14 minus my 5.21. So 14 minus 5.21, and I get 8.79. So 8.79 is my pH. I can actually answer right now that that's a base because it's greater than 7. Now let's find our OH and our H. So remember, to find OH, which is the second column, I'm going to use my POH. That's my answer to the formula. So I know the POH is 5.21 equals the negative log of the concentration of OH And again, 2 steps. Move over the negative because I'm multiplying by -1. And then take the 10 to the x of each. So 10 to the -5.21 is what I plug into my calculator. So 10 to the -5.21. So 10 to the -5.21, and I get 6.2 times 10 to the -6th. So we get 6.2 times 10 to the -6th m for my answer. All right, concentration of H. I'm going to use my pH for that. So I'm going to use this value over here. I know the H, or pH, so 8.79 equals the negative log of H. Again, move over the negative. And then you know the rest. We're going to take, I'm sorry, that's H, not OH. Cross that out. So I'm going to take 10 to the -8.79. So go back to my calculator. 10 to the -8.79. And I get 1.6 times 10 to the -9th. So 1.6 e to the -9th m. Sorry, I'm not being very consistent with that. And there's my answer. Okay, so I consider these two problems kind of similar because we went through the same process for each. Number 3 is a little bit different. Notice it gives me a concentration. So let's talk about what we can find from that. If I know what the concentration of H is, I can find the pH, right? So if I know the concentration of H, I can find the pH. So this is going to be the first thing I calculate, since pH is the negative log of H. Now this time we don't know the answer. We know the H value that we're going to substitute here. So pH is the negative log, and again, this is my H, right? So I'm just going to substitute that in. 2.52 e to the -9th, and I'm going to plug that into my calculator. So 2.52 e to the -9th, and the negative log of it. So negative log of 2.52 second e to the -9th. And I get 8.60. Remember, we try and give, when we can, pHs to 2 decimal points. Again, don't get too caught up in that. All right, so now that I have pH, what's the easy thing to find? POH. Remember, 14 minus that number is going to give us the answer. So I'm just going to go back to my calculator. 14 minus my 8.60. And I get for my answer 5.40. All right. And now we're going to go ahead and find this one. Okay, so to find this one again, OH from POH, I know the answer this time. This is the answer. 5.40 equals the negative log of OH. And again, negative 5.40. Oops, the negative is gone. And I do my 10 to the x, so 10 to the negative 5.40. So I do my second log, negative 5.40, and I get for an answer 4.0 times 10 to the -6th. All right, acid or base, we look at our value for my pH. This makes it a base. Okay, one possibility right now would be for you to pause this video and try number 4 on your own, start to finish. Hey, just keep in mind, if you have a calculator that's not quite like mine on the screen, you may have to do the calculations backwards, which means you might have to type in the number first and then hit the log button. So just keep that in mind as that's a possibility. So you could pause the video now and then start it up again in a minute just to see if you did these correctly. All right, let's go ahead and go through these problems together. So I've got OH, I can easily find POH. So POH, I don't know it, is the negative log of OH, and I'm going to substitute this value in for OH. So 7.12 e to the -10th. So negative log of 7.12 e to the -10th. 7.12 e to the -10th, and I get a value of 9.15. All right, so I know my POH is 9.15. What's easy to find from that? pH. I just subtract from 14. Again, to get back and forth from pH to POH, you simply subtract from 14. Okay, so 14 minus 9.15, and I get for an answer 4.85. So my answer here is 4.85. It's less than 7. This is an acid. And now let's find my H concentration. Now it can be a little overwhelming. Which of these do you pick? Well, to find H, we're going to use pH. All right, so we're going to look at the pH value. So pH is 4.85. So I know the answer, 4.85, that's the pH, is a negative log of H. Move over my negative. And then we do the 10 to the x button. So again, 10 to the x button gets rid of that log. So 10 to the negative 4.85. So again, second log negative 4.85 equals, and we get 1.4 e to the negative fifth. And then there's an m after it. And there is your answer. So this is how you're going to approach that problem in the packet that has the chart. Do exactly what we did here, and you're going to be in good shape. All right, good luck.